et mul on hea meel sisse juhatada meie järgmine esineja llmari Absetz, kes siis on Soome nii-öelda, kui teda nii-öelda eesti keeles arusaadavalt öelda, siis Soome EAS-ile väga sarnane institutsioon. Ja llmari räägib meile Smart Urban Activities in Finland, et millised on olnud Soome linnade sellised targa linna aktiivsused, nii et hea meelega annakski sõna sulle üle. Palun.
Kiitos. Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And my name is llmari Absetz and Illimar in Estonia, I would guess. And it's been a pleasure for me to be here in this conference. And I have visited Estonia many times in connection with business and pleasure. The first time in the late 80s when it was completely a different Soviet times. I remember something of that, not that happy. And the biggest and strongest experience in Estonia was when I, after sailing from Helsinki to Tallinn on the sailing racing, we did go to the 20-year independence party in Laululava, and that was really a strong feeling of being there and seeing the people enjoying the independence. I must say that that was a strong feeling and experience. But to these smart urban activities in Finland, we just recently started a new smart city project called Witty City in English, Fiksu kaupunki in Finnish. It's a slang word for smart city, or then that would be Tarklin in Estonia, if I understand correctly. My colleague Virpi Mikkonen, she's the program manager in this program, and she used to be the manager of a recently ended national program of sustainable communities. And Tekes, where I come from, that is the Finnish Funding Agency of Technology and Innovations. And while I talk, I could just distribute one leaflet explaining Tekes strategy and another one about the simple facts with the name of Joy of Innovation. I mean, innovation should be fun at some time in order to be effective, and that is, we are the main public funding organization in Finland, funding about 10% of research and development and innovation in Finland, about 1/3 of the public funding share. And we fund companies and we fund universities, we fund research centers, and recently we have been funding cities and owners in the demand end of innovation as well. We are aiming at boosting innovation, and international networking is important. The Tekes activities are based on strategy approaches, and the three foundation stones of our current strategy is natural resources and sustainable economy, intelligent environments, vitality of the people. And if you will look at this smart cities approach, looking at intelligent environments, it fits actually very well to this strategic framework and what these smart cities, intelligent environments should be. I mean, what is a witty city? That is somehow based on quite big urban issues. We've heard many presentations of the urban challenges. The urbanization continues globally. Cities do grow, they shrink, and they transform. We have recently in Finland been living with quite major transformations on some industrial cities of the forest industry, closing down some paper mills and so forth, and closing down some of Nokia's activities recently on the ICT sector. That is one of the things influencing on the need for transformation and new identities for some cities in the development. And the identity of a city, I think that's very important. And it's been interesting to listen to the identity of Rakvere as being the flexible small city and trying to build its future based on this kind of an image. And there clearly is a need for growing smart city solutions, and typically the new innovations are not really taken into typical investment processes like described in the presentations this morning. Why does not things that are good and we know, why don't they happen in practice? There are many reasons, but how to make things happen better, it is partly to improve the cooperation between the users, public and private sector together, and how to have the user needs as the drivers of innovation. This is important, and Finland is a small country, and we are small actors in global markets, but we do look at global niche business opportunities, and that is very important for our companies and for Tekes funding companies supporting competitiveness. That's one of our key objectives, to support the competitiveness. We are very proud of having some leading companies like the Kone elevator and escalator company being the biggest in China right now on skyscraper elevators. Despite the fact that we don't have skyscrapers in Finland, we have the best elevator company for skyscrapers in the world. I think this is a good example of what we're aiming at. So what is a witty city? That is something that is explained here in this picture. It is important things for the citizens. I mean, citizens want cozy places, smooth mobility, easiness, safety and cleanliness. It is also important for the business. Business wants vibrant business climate, how to motivate the best companies to come to a city, and that would motivate the best people, and how to motivate the families of the best workers. You need to have a good environment, and then what is good for the companies? I mean, having very good demonstrations of new activities within a city to open new business opportunities elsewhere is something that is important. So for a witty city, there is clearly something for the citizens, something for the municipalities, and something for the companies, and how these actors work together. This is what this program is aiming at, and it is a 5-year program of about 100 million euros of funding. So it is, from our national point of view, it's a pretty big program. In Tekes we are having about 25 national programs, and about half of our funding goes through programs, and these are like strategic activities. And the witty city sees that Finland should be a forerunner in everyday services and technologies, how to make the everyday life smooth and efficient and safe. And typically it is clearly integrating existing smart solutions. Many of the things that need to be done are actually there in separate good cases. We've seen yesterday and very good examples of building automation issues, for example, as separate strong technologies. How to integrate technology solutions to good service packages and make them far more easier to use. Yesterday it was quite clear to say that easiness of use is a very important issue for market access. It's not the features of technology that are the key issues. And we do see that this development of cities need to be done somehow in the living environments, in the genuine environments. Sometimes you call them urban living labs, like in Urban Europe. Joint Programming Initiative is one network that we are acting in that has been a very interesting part, and also joining with the national program activities to the European program activities described very well yesterday and today. We are following these carefully and looking at good partnerships on that. On these genuine environments, how companies, public actors, users and investors work together. The investors are very important in this issue. How to get the major investments in cities to include more innovation, that is one of the challenges, and I think this Rakvere-Tarkmaja project is a good example of having more innovation with a major investment. These kind of things on major reference areas we are looking at, so having local developments as the living lab environments, and also strong references for international new business opportunities. It is quite strongly projects with strong networks and integrated solutions. I think this Skaftskär case that Lena presented before coffee break was a good example of a network development project, all in all. So if we look at the goals of this program, this is how to encourage cities to open the investments and urban developments more to be test beds for companies, and how to help innovative SMEs especially to get strong first commercial references for new solutions and modes of operations. This is something that I think we're having quite similar approaches with some of the company roles in this Rakvere region. So I think you're having a very interesting regional, local network of doing things together. How to integrate innovatively the know-how from different disciplines and industries. I mean, this is partly a know-how issue of integrating know-how, and partly integrating technology, and partly integrating the services, looking at good service business opportunities and new earning models, new ways to make money. I think some of the how to save energy, for example, is an issue where you need new earning models in order to make it really happen. Looking at the demand side of innovation, that is very important to bring the supply and demand together in innovation processes. We're having one recently started Tekes program called Top Buyers, which is funding the demand end of public procurement when defining the new innovative processes of how to arrange the tendering to buy in a more innovative way. And this is a handshake kind of a situation, to have projects to support the demand end and then projects to support the supply with networked offerings. And this activity is carried out in the local cities, local area, leading area developments to create the ability and readiness for international businesses. And also this witty city, it should offer smooth, seamless everyday services for typical people. A project that is a good example of developing single technology-based issues that recently ended is the safety and security program, and that has had activities on first responders, crisis management, cybersecurity, healthcare and home, corporate, safe city issues. This is an ending program, and how these kind of competencies should be combined to other city-related activities. That is one of the next steps for the safety and security sector and companies. So how to look at the city development from a safety and security point of view, and create new solutions and business concepts with some of the key components of safety and security, how to integrate and innovate, and how to predict the future in the right way. I think it was a good comparison in this morning's presentation between the 2-year and 10-year changes observed. And if you look at an even longer span, then that is the thing. This frog here probably means that in Finland there is a frog that is able to predict the coming weather, so they should know the future. Some showcases of recent activities in Finland are from a book here, World-Class Sustainable Solutions from Finland, that I want to distribute, and I would be pleased to leave it to the Rakvere Tarkmaja, and this is also found in the internet. So there's some of these cases done recently on sustainable urban development, sustainable buildings, and sustainable solutions, and many of these projects are jointly done, and this book is jointly done by Tekes, our funding organization, Sitra, the Finnish Innovation Fund that Leena mentioned, was partly funding also their Skaftskär project, and VTT, Technical Research Center of Finland, where Janne presented some of their activities yesterday. And many of these projects are from the Sustainable Communities program that just ended, and this one area in Helsinki, 5 kilometers away from downtown, in the former fields of the University of Agriculture, was the pioneer in ecological building since 1999, and one of the first wooden apartment buildings carried out there. I go quickly through several cases here, and just if the chairman needs to speed me up, I can stop basically at any time with these cases. These area developments are quite important in having new innovations to act as references. Jätkäsaari and sustainable solutions there is current and ongoing major city development, becoming a home for 16,000 people and workplace for 6,000. Many of you might have seen this because the Tallinn ferries have the harbor in this Jätkäsaari region, and you've seen the continuous building site there, and it is ongoing. Some of the activities are the leading edge sustainability issues. Then if we look at the more severe climates in northern Finland, one example of the local energy of a relatively small, this Kempele is bigger than a village and smaller than a city. I think it's a bit smaller than Rakvere, but I don't have the exact population. I would guess 10,000 inhabitants. And they have a small combined heat and power plant together with the wind generator burning locally available biomass. So something of these integrated solutions, but it does not have the spirit factory that we visited yesterday as a good synergy business of combining the energy business and vodka business. I think it was a very interesting visit yesterday. And one of these biggest, just recently started area developments in the eastern side of Helsinki, close to the metro stations and metro lines, is called Kalasatama, the fishing harbor, and that is going to be, I think, the biggest and most advanced and modern area development in Finland. There's some other activity areas as well. So Witty City is having this as one important area development, and we are working with the city of Helsinki and we're working with the companies and working with the research. So this is going to be one of the platforms of innovation and development, and hopefully a successful showcase like Sweden is building the Royal Seaport to Stockholm. Then how to have things being sustainable and green. the sustainable wooden construction is a continuous challenge and activity for Finland, with forest industry being important and forest industry needing some renewal and transformation, and how to make wooden buildings, sustainable wooden office buildings and larger scale apartment buildings is one of the current challenges. We have a good tradition of wooden single family houses. This is a building of the forest government managing state-owned forests in northern Finland, and that is one of the biggest wooden office buildings in Europe, being made quite sustainable. Tekes and Finpro, Finvera, 3 public organizations are going to move in 2-3 years' time to a wooden office building in Otaniemi area, and that is going to be our building example of sustainable solutions and advanced working environments in a way that might have some good contact with the activities of Rakvere Tarkmaja. I think it's a little bit smaller, but a current planning stage over there. Tampere, the I think 3rd biggest city in Finland, is quite strongly expanding, and they have many activities, and one major strategic activity is to have programs to reduce the carbon emissions and go towards carbon neutral urban structures, and that is partly related with infrastructure, partly with buildings, and partly with the mobility and transportation issues. So I think they have a pretty holistic approach on this, and these energy efficient houses in cold climate. We do have cold climate at some time despite the climate change, and a Finnish university-led group was quite successful in a solar decathlon competition with a small building that could be transformed to Spain for the competition and then back to Finland, and it was a plus energy building in Spain and net zero energy building in Finnish climates, and it was some kind of a showcase example. How to have these low energy building concepts that recently have been done by combining these best practices of energy savings and HVAC technology, and how to combine that to wood construction. Some of the leading companies like Reponen is a medium-sized construction company that is a forerunner in low energy building and is looking at the potential competitiveness of wooden apartment buildings. You could say that this is a challenge of how to make these wooden apartment buildings sustainable, nice and competitive in a market that has very strong concrete element industry tradition of last 30-40 years, which is very competitive based on the continuity. There is this net zero energy building of the northern climate, and there are 2 completed cases of zero energy apartment buildings, one in the city of Kuopio and one in the city of Järvenpää, and they have maybe 10 to 15% additional investments in the construction period, and they've calculated that the payback time of energy should be somewhere between 6 and 8 years. It might be slightly optimistic, but anyway, it's technically possible, and it seems to be economically feasible to go towards zero energy buildings, even in the cold climate of Finland. You see the solar panels and the snow together, and sometimes you get very good solar energy in the winter months of March, maybe not in early February or December, January, but already in early March. Very good solar radiation issues. How to have competitive and sustainable solutions in global markets. It's very important also to combine design and architecture to the sustainability and technology developments. I yesterday really enjoyed the presentation of the textiles and how to combine art and design and functionality to textiles in the presentation yesterday. I think it was a very good piece of showing how this innovation needs not just the technology and science, but also good design and good art to be recognized and appreciated. I think that is quite important. Sorry, now I'm going the wrong way around. The strong expertise and interdisciplinarity is needed also in LED lighting applications. Some of the SME companies in Finland are quite advanced. This is a company, Obelux, that has been looking at the lighting systems to use less energy but be visible to the airplanes. You have some towers with red lights that you see halfway to the Gulf of Finland when you sail over, so it's like a good lighthouse. Maybe you should also have LED lights in some of these towers. These LED lights can be also tailored to certain needs, like this is more than light. It helps the plants grow in a greenhouse if you have a certain kind of LED lighting to optimize the amount of light and also the quality of light to produce plants to grow in the best possible way. And these LED applications on street lights, this is clearly coming in many different areas, and how to have some intelligence also on the controlling of these street lighting systems, not just having them save energy as such, but how to have the light on when needed and so forth. That is one of the important issues. This is an example of a swimming pool that has the energy saving concept of integrating to the building envelope, to a copper building envelope, solar thermal energy solutions that is integrated on the copper building envelope panels. And this saves some of the energy, and it, from the visibility point of view, it looks good. Yesterday they discussed here about these building information models and how to get the benefit of that. In Finland, some of the leading construction companies like Skanska here is the forerunner in using building information modeling, and some of the leading investors and building owners require that on the state side and also on the private side. And many of the design companies, whether it's architecture, HVAC, or structural engineering, they do have good culture of using building information models. Some of the construction material companies like Rautaruukki in the steel industry are quite advanced. So this is clearly a technology that is coming more and more common. I think it's on this S-curve of innovation. It is on the rising period. It's not just the early adapters, but I think it's the first majority that is starting to use building information model, and how to get the full benefit of this throughout the life cycle of buildings, and especially when you have the renovation period and you have the right facts in the history when you build to the new. I think here in Rakvere Tarkmaja, if you would have the building information model of this old building over here, it might be easier to build the new one over there. I mean, you have the drawings, but how accurate are they? That's hopefully not a problem, but it would help if you would have the knowledge. Some of the waste management issues of smart pneumatic collection technologies are there. There are two small Finnish companies and one big Swedish company, I think Envac, who's been the global forerunner. And whether this kind of vacuum waste collection system is going to be the global standard or not, the coming years will show it. But this is a good way of also getting the waste into energy in a quite systematic way. And this last example over here of how to have something in between the private cars and public transportation. And we're in Helsinki region, since about a year back, we are having a new system of demand responsive transportation. So it's like a minibus that you can just ask to come to the nearest bus stop in Helsinki region by just ordering it by mobile phone, maybe 20 minutes before. And this is something that is clearly cheaper than taxi and not that much more expensive than a bus, and it goes where you want to go. So you don't need to follow the existing bus routes, but you can order a bus to go where you go, and this is something that combines the modern mobile technology and the networks. I think this is an interesting thing. The last item I would want to just quickly explain is the other program of let's see. Maybe I don't have it. Well, I skipped that, the Innovative Cities program that is recently started by the Ministry of Environment and Employment, and that has chosen five major cities to be drivers of activities in city development, and that is City of Tampere that I mentioned. Their activity area is smart cities and renewing industries. Then there is City of Oulu in northern Finland, and their main activity area is the future healthcare, and they have good global contacts there. Vaasa in the west coast with sustainable energy solutions, and Jyväskylä in the center of Finland with cybersecurity, and Joensuu in the eastern Finland on bioeconomy. And this is a program that is funded partly by the Ministry of State and Employment and managed by Tekes. 1/3 of the funding comes from European Union structural funds, and 1/3 comes from the cities, and roughly 30 million euros annually with the timeline of 2014 to 2020. And in Finland, this is like a continuation to the previous framework program regional funds that have been used for these competence centers that I know that this Maja has been having contacts with. So this is one current activity with 5 leading cities and some satellite contacts, and we would want to make these cities also be strongly internationally networked. And I think this networking of these development platforms of different countries is an important part of the future. And with these kind of ideas, I thank you